Iranian authorities are engaging with broader Middle Eastern actors concerning the potential threat of a United States military intervention against the country. Concurrently, the Iranian currency has depreciated to a record low, occurring 1 month after the onset of nationwide protests that have elicited a violent government response. The United States has deployed the USS Abraham Lincoln, along with multiple guided missile destroyers, to the region, assets capable of conducting maritime strike operations. The decision by US President Donald Trump regarding the potential use of military force remains uncertain despite his prior threats to respond with force to the killing of peaceful protesters and the prospect of mass executions. According to activists, the protests have resulted in more than 6,300 fatalities. Trump also expressed a desire to advance negotiations towards an agreement that his administration has been pursuing with Tehran regarding its nuclear program. He referenced the June 2025 strikes on Iran, which occurred as the United States became involved in Israel's 12-day conflict with the Islamic Republic, and said, "The next attack will be far worse." Iran's mission to the United Nations was quick to respond to Trump. The diplomat stated that if pushed, Iran will defend itself and respond like never before. What are the potential consequences that may arise from a US military strike against Iran? Here are the 5 possible scenarios. Scenario 1. Targeted, precise military operations designed to minimize civilian casualties and facilitate a transition to democratic governance. United States air and naval forces execute limited precision strikes aimed at military installations of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, ballistic missile launch and storage facilities, and elements of Iran's nuclear program. This approach seeks to dismantle an already weakened regime, ultimately enabling a transition toward authentic democratic governance and reintegration of Iran into the international community. Scenario 2. The Shia regime in Iran endures while adopting a more moderate approach to its policies. Robust military measures undertaken by the United States result in the preservation of the regime, albeit with a moderation of its policies. This outcome implies the continued existence of the Islamic Republic, which is unlikely to satisfy a significant portion of the Iranian population. However, the regime would be compelled to reduce its backing of militant groups throughout the Middle East, limit or discontinue its domestic nuclear and ballistic missile programs, and relax its repression of internal protests. Scenario 3. The Shia regime in Iran collapses and gets supplanted by military governance. Although the regime is evidently unpopular among a substantial portion of the population, and successive waves of protests over the years have progressively undermined its stability, a vast and entrenched security apparatus with a vested interest in maintaining the existing order persists. The primary factors contributing to the failure of these protests to depose the regime thus far include the absence of significant defections to the opposition and the willingness of those in power to employ unlimited force and brutality to preserve their authority. In the chaotic aftermath of any potential US military strikes, it is plausible that Iran could come under the control of a strong military government predominantly composed of members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or the IRGC. Scenario 4. The Shia regime in Iran disintegrates, giving way to a state of disorder. This represents a significant and tangible threat, constituting a primary concern for neighboring states such as Qatar and Saudi Arabia. In addition to the potential outbreak of a civil war akin to those witnessed in Syria, Yemen, and Libya, there exists the risk that, amid the ensuing disorder and instability, ethnic tensions may escalate into armed conflict. This is particularly pertinent as groups such as the Kurds, Baluchis, and other minority populations may seek to protect their communities in the context of a nationwide power vacuum. Scenario 5. Iran responds with military actions targeting U.S. forces and neighboring countries. Iran has pledged to respond decisively to any military aggression initiated by the United States, saying that its finger is on the trigger. Although it cannot contend with the superior capabilities of the U.S. Navy and Air Force, it retains the potential to launch attacks utilizing its stockpile of ballistic missiles and drones, many of which are hidden within caves, subterranean locations, or isolated mountainous regions. United States military bases and installations are distributed along the Arabian coast of the Gulf, particularly in Bahrain and Qatar. However, Iran possesses the capability to target key infrastructure within any country it perceives as complicit in a U.S. offensive, including nations such as Jordan. For decades, Iran has considered the United States and Israel to be among the greatest threats to the Shia theocracy. After the 1979 revolution, the new Islamic Republic labeled the United States the Great Satan and Israel the Little Satan.